A couple of star receivers had some pretty good games, including one on the Steelers. As a result, Antonio Brown and the Falcons' Julio Jones are our adrenaline performers presented by Toyota. Brown caught 10 of 12 targets against the Packers, took them for 169 yards and 2 touchdowns. While Jones, he dominated the Buccaneers for 253 yards on 12 catches with a pair of touchdowns of his own. It was his third game with more than 250 yards receiving. No one else has more than one. 2 receivers making a case for the best in the game. So who would you take? Antonio Brown or Julio Jones?
This is a hard one, Robin. It really is, because look, we've said that Julio Jones has had a bad year this year. He's got 1,000 yards and 60-something catches. We still have 5 games to go. He's not having a bad year by any stretch of the imagination, but compared to himself, it feels like it's off because he's only gotten to the end zone 4 or 5 times this season, too, obviously, this past weekend. But I love Antonio Brown simply because of his nose to get to the end zone. He finds ways to do it each and every year. Double-digit touchdowns the last 3 years. He's on pace to get there again this year with 8 already. And he can play. He's so versatile, right? You put him in the slot, you can put him outside, he can beat you deep, he can beat you on crossing routes. All those different ways that the Pittsburgh Steelers utilize Antonio Brown make him the guy I would want. And he's smaller. I mean, I like the little guy.
It's like the freak of nature against the maestro a little bit, right?
Yeah. Julio Jones is like the prototypical, let me chisel this perfect wide receiver, and then you get Julio Jones.
My argument for Brown would be just kind of what you stated. You look at Jones's numbers, they're great, but we just mentioned how many of them came in one game.
Yes.
And it doesn't seem like Brown ever has those games where he's not a factor.
Well, it is, but his average game is like 160 yards.
Right.
You know, he leads the league in receptions almost every year. They're constantly feeding him the football, and so he takes advantage of it. And he's been healthy for the majority of his career. It's something you can't discount, being available and accountable every single time you're out there on the field.
You mentioned him getting fed the ball. How much of that plays a role in your decision to pick him?
Yeah,
the way that Big Ben connects with Antonio, it's like we don't see anything like that in the league right now.
You don't, because you know the ball's coming to him. We saw it last night in the game last night. You knew that he was going to get the rock with 17 seconds left. They throw a deep pass into cover 2. Ben puts it exactly where it has to be. Antonio Brown snatches it out of the air cleanly, gets his feet in bounds. There's no question about it. And they found a way to win that game, which probably could have went to overtime against the Green Bay Packers. I mean, their connection feels perfect, right? It's like it was ordained from a higher power at some point. And it shows up every week, and you enjoy that as a football fan, even if you're not a fan necessarily of the Steelers.